Hey everyone, it's Kendall1043thefan.com, and I'm joined by the Nicki Jhabvala of The Athletic. How many times can the drive get your last name wrong is the first question, really.
Well, it's mostly DMAC. So I get a different version every time I come on, but it's entertaining,
It's fantastic. It is.
Yeah. As long as it's close, I'll respond. So.
So because of this coronavirus, first of all, how hard has it been, or has it been easier for you to kind of get a hold of people and keep doing your interviews and things like that?
It's been different, definitely. Just because this is the time of the year where we would regularly have press conferences at the Broncos facility, just with guys coming in for OTAs and the rookie class. So it's been different. The Broncos, to their credit, have done a pretty good job of making guys available each week. And yeah, some guys are easier to get a hold of because they really don't have a lot going on. Others, you're trying to go through their agents or the team if you want some separate time with them, and that's always a joy. But for the most part, I'm just grateful that there's still been plenty to write about, and I'm still employed. Yay!
Woohoo!
Yay,
we made it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, I haven't talked to you since even before the draft, but going back to the draft, who's the player that they've drafted that you think will be the biggest key to their success?
I think certainly Jerry Jeudy, just with, how polished he is as a route runner. His production at Alabama, I think, kind of speaks for itself. His speed, I think he could do a lot for this offense. And immediately, I know when they talk a lot about rookie receivers, there's always that, they're going to have kind of a slow start as they get used to things, but I don't think he should have a rough time. I mean, there's certainly the challenges this year with there being, limited on-field time ahead of the season. It's going to be, a bigger challenge for the rookies to really learn the offense and defense. But, he's one that I think can have an immediate impact. Another I'm really intrigued by is Lloyd Cushenberry. I mean, I know offensive line, that's not really, it's not like skill positions where you think they can have an immediate impact, but to have that anchor in the middle of the line. And somebody, he won MVP of their national title team, so he's got to be doing something right. And I think he could kind of solidify that interior group on the line.
Were you surprised at all that they focused so heavily on offensive weapons for Drew Lock, or did you kind of know that was the direction they were going to go?
I was surprised that they took the receiver in the second round after getting Jerry Jeudy in the first, but that was clearly something they really wanted to do. I mean, they really like KJ Hamler. They really wanted to add speed to their offense. So I wasn't necessarily surprised that the offense was the focus, because the offense has been kind of the weakest link for the last 4 or 5 years. So the one thing that really stood out to me that was they didn't draft a tackle, and they're going to have Garrett Bowles and Elijah Wilkinson battle for that left tackle spot. And I thought they would maybe try to get at least some depth in the secondary. I think the cornerback spot, even though they drafted Michael Ojemudia, there's still not clarity there on who will be the number 2, even the number 3 cornerback, and kind of the depth behind them. And I don't take a step back there. And then safety, I mean, obviously they got Tim Jackson, and Justin Simmons will be back somehow, whether it's on the tag or a long-term deal. But, again, very little depth back there. And you always have to wonder with Kareem that he's going to be, 30? Is he already 32, I think? He'll be 33 next season. Yeah, and his salary isn't guaranteed. It's the last year of his deal. Would they try to move on from him? And then what? Who's next in line? So those were kind of the few things that stood out to me. But, overall, I thought they had a really great draft on paper. We'll see how they turn out, but on paper, they had a really great draft.
We'll see in a couple of years how it kind of pans out. But with the coronavirus and everything, they can't get together. You've seen them on all their Zoom calls and things like that. Do you think that come the NFL season, whatever we have this year, that the rookies are kind of going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage because they weren't able to meet up with all the guys and the teammates and kind of get on the field as much as they could beforehand?
I think they're the ones that are probably going to face the biggest challenges. Whether it truly impacts them on the field, it's going to be hard to determine one way or the other, because we don't know what it would have been like otherwise. But it certainly adds to the challenge for them of not only getting acclimated to being in the league, the faster tempo of the game, bigger opponents, faster opponents, stronger opponents. The playbook is more complex. You know, and that offense is really young. And the veterans, you know, a couple of them are brand new, and Graham Glasgow and Melvin Gordon. So they're all kind of learning together, relatively inexperienced, relatively quite young. So I think, yeah, there's going to be a challenge there, but, you know, hopefully they're doing their due diligence and really studying up on the playbook. So when they do get on the field, they know what is, and they a bit faster. The defense has an advantage. I mean, it's a mostly veteran group. You know, outside of Ojemudia, and depending on how much they want to use McTelvin Agim, you know, those guys, they've either been in Fangio's defense or they've been in the league long enough to where they know how to adapt.
And you wrote about the NFL schedule that came out a couple weeks ago. What is in your opinion, the toughest game on that schedule for Broncos?
The toughest game, I honestly think it's going to be that New Orleans game. I think the second half of the schedule, I know everybody's kind of looking at the first half when they play Brady. They're on the East Coast quite a bit.
Two primetime games.
Yeah, there's going to be some really tough opponents there. But you know, you think about the possibility of them canceling, you know, some games early because of COVID-19, or you know, the second half is really loaded with divisional opponents, the implications there for playoffs. I think that New Orleans game, sandwiched in between, I think, that Chargers and Raiders game, that's going to be tough. And then, you know, probably on the same level of difficulty is that December game in Kansas City. I mean, they haven't beaten the Chiefs in their last 9 meetings, and those winter games in Kansas City have been pretty brutal for them. So,
not good memories.
Yeah, you don't want to. So those two really stand out to me.
And a way too early prediction for you for their record this season. I have.
I'm terrible at this. I'm so terrible at this. I originally had them at 8-8, and I know people are going to think I'm a total pessimist, but whatever. I had them at 8-8 just because we haven't seen so many guys on these field. On the field. The offense could be really, really great. It could be really exciting, really productive. But it also likely has 3 rookies, so you just don't know. Joey says hello.
Joey.
Joey, play with your toy. Well, we're not. I had him at 8-8 to start with. But then I'm like, no, I can win that Atlanta game. Now that's not overseas. And they did win that Atlanta game. So I changed it to 9-7. You're welcome, Broncos country.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nicki, for joining me. And guys, make sure to go to 1043thefan.com to check out all our latest and new content.
All the games, all the wings, all the beers, all season. No worries. Hooters.